We were so scared that we abandoned our tent and ran. This is 100% a true story. However, it's not my true story. This is my dad's true story that he's told me countless times growing up. And I just went home 2 days ago so he could retell it so I can get the details right for you guys. Are you ready? Let's get into it. This happened to my dad when he was 16 or 17. And it's important to remember, this is before Wi-Fi and cell phones. If something happened to you in the woods, they're gonna find out when they find you. So my dad and 4 of his friends, 2 guys and 2 girls, decided to plan a little camping trip outside of Ottawa on the Ottawa River. They decided that my dad and his friend were gonna bike there and meet the other 3 who were coming by car. And that's exactly what they did. They got to the beautiful campground on the side of the river, they set up their tents, and they began enjoying an evening. Before long, they had lit a campfire as the sun was just starting to set. They're hanging out, they're having beverages, they're just having some nice teenage fun, until they hear something in the woods. And they look, and they see a man stumbling out of the woods coming straight towards them. They immediately felt uncomfortable, but it got worse. This man walked directly up to their campfire, inviting himself, and something about him felt off. He was in his 40s or 50s and looked super rough and disheveled, like maybe he had been in the woods for a while. He starts talking to the group, and my dad and his friends, clearly uncomfortable and not sure what to do in this situation, talked to him for a little bit by the campfire. But after a few minutes, they stopped really engaging with him, hoping he'd get the hint and get out of there. But he didn't. He lingered, standing over them by the campfire. So what my dad and his friends did next is pretended that they had to end the campfire and go to bed in hopes finally he'd get the message and leave. And this time, it worked. Barely. Without saying a goodbye, the man slowly stumbled back into the woods. Now my dad and his friends finished up the campfire, got ready, and went to bed without any other incident. They had 2 tents, one for the girls, one for the guys. They all got inside and went to sleep. It wasn't until the middle of the night that my dad and his friends were jolted awake by something outside their tent. Was it a squirrel? Was it a raccoon? No, it sounded bigger. And it wasn't just footsteps. They could hear breathing. My dad and the 2 guys in his tent were freaked out. And one of his friends, who was the biggest guy there, grabbed a hunting knife and a flashlight, and he said, "I'm going out there." So he carefully unzips the tent, goes outside, and walks one slow lap around the tent. And this next part is the part that my dad remembers most vividly. The tent flap ripped back open, and my dad's friend's face was white as a ghost. And he said he saw the man go back into the bushes. At this point, the 3 guys are in panic mode. They burst out of the tent and go get the girls. And a decision was made to leave all their stuff and run for the only building nearby. A tiny cinder block building with some laundry machines. They run a couple hundred meters to get there, go inside, slam the door, and hold it shut. And that's where they stayed for the rest of the night, fully awake, waiting for that man to come knocking. But he didn't. And as the sun started to rise, they slowly opened the door, and while staying together, made their way back to the campsite. They grabbed everything as is, shoved it into the car, and got out of there. And just as they were about to leave the campgrounds, they saw a couple also packing up their tent in a rush. They asked what was wrong, and the couple said there was a man outside their tent last night. That group of friends never went camping again. There's some scary people in the woods. Be safe. That's the story. It is a true story. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed spooky season. See you guys. Bye.